Hi, this is a quick one-off, unplanned video. Normally, I don't script videos, but I at least plan what I'm going to do here. I haven't really planned it, but I'm going to discuss vocabulary programs in bilingual schools, and I've been using vocabulary programs, flashcard programs with my students for over 10 years in bilingual and international schools. International schools that I'm in are generally the mid-tier, one one group, one nationality of students instead of like truly international schools with lots of students from various countries. So I'm going to be talking about it from that perspective, especially translating from L1 to 2. Bilingual education, bilingual assistance is a very effective way to get students to progress quickly, especially if they're behind. And I'm a language acquisition guy, so the best way to do language acquisition is just immerse them in comprehensible input, reading and listening. But we're in a classroom setting. It's really difficult to tailor everything to exactly comprehensible input I+1. We have some kind of supports for students who are below level. And you can see here, I've got three systems at the top that I'm going to talk about. The first one is Quizlet, and I've used Quizlet a lot. I started using Quizlet first back in probably 2012, I think. This is not the account that I use that with, but you can see I've got it here. I created I created a list of the fry sight words for my one-to-one student with Thai translations here. And the good thing about Quizlet is the audio is really good. I hope you'll be able to hear this. Okay, so they have a really comprehensible computer text to speech, and it's really quite good. Very rarely is it wrong. It has good stress, syllable stress, etc. So I've been using that since forever. And there are a couple of ways that I use this. High frequency list was used for my student to go through fries. Let's see, I've got what we'll call, which I developed this idea about 10 years ago, taking a unit of study. Here's a social studies unit, but I used to do it with science especially, and identifying all of the basic knowledge level stuff that students need to know. This is not to say that's where we stop, but it's students have to be able to ask and answer basic questions in the subject, knowledge-based questions before we can move on to other stuff. And so this is a way for them to possibly practice the language, certainly get to know the basic knowledge level stuff. And I'll go through a unit and I'll extract all the most important points that I want them to remember, set up simple questions and answers. I will try, if possible, to highlight one or two kinds of sentence structures and keep the sentence structures simple so that students can get used to that sentence structure and extend that sentence structure to other things. And then Quizlet has a print function. So if you're in a classroom 10 years ago, I would print small cards here, and that's it. Well, it looks like maybe they changed the way they do this. Okay, let's take a look at large here. Now, that would certainly be effective. So I could use these to create cards, and we could have students do a do now, working on cards. They might pull one of the questions off like all the questions go in a pile in the middle. They might pull one of the questions, and then all the students have cards in their hands with multiple sets, and then the people who identify the answer first get to put that down. They need to read the answer. The person who pulls the card reads the question. You can play slap. There's lots of things that you can do. Generally, if I do that, especially early on, I have the table or glossary printed for each group so that they can determine what the actual answer is. If there's some question, they get to practice reading questions and answers. They get practice that they get practice with the knowledge that they need. And of course, that's a small part of the class, but back to set. Small part of the class, but it's an important part of the class to get that knowledge level stuff and get some basic conversational ability, especially when you're dealing with. A lot of times I was dealing with fourth grade, fifth grade students. Students were still developing in their language. We want to make sure they have the language ability to be able to work in class. We can ask students to play match game. Match on the computer is not that much fun, but back before we had a lot of one-to-one, I use that a little bit to as a warm up sometimes, or as uh, kind of a transition activity to get students to work together and maybe play a quick team game. So it also has the ability to do self-study, which are learn and test. Learn and test apparently recently went paid, but I haven't played with this in the past week, so I'm not sure exactly what the constraints are, but it appears from what they say that if you create a class and put the students in a class, then they can get learn and test. But working individually just on these, just from a link, you won't get learn and test. Those will have to be paid for. So Quizlet is good for that. Quizlet, of course, is good for vocabulary. We're going to be talking about vocabulary transition primarily. Here I have the same social studies unit, and I have the basic vocabulary. I pulled out the vocabulary that I think is important from the various readings we're going to do and from the topic. I've done the translation in Thai. Let me go ahead and edit this, and I'll show you what some of the... Oh, this is not mine. This is not mine. So I'd have to create a copy of it. I'll go ahead and do that. This is from another account that I had. You can see a Paleolithic era translate to Yukin in Thai. But if I set this as Thai and I look for the definition, actually I don't have that. That was probably bad. Let me find another easier word here. Tools. There we go. Kumu is definitely going to be in it. If somebody else has translated it in the system, then you will get some choices for L1 here. And I think that is a great feature that give you choices for translations that other people have used. If you're going to put together a comprehensive vocabulary system for your bilingual program or for your class, which I suggest that you do, then you'll either need to be not exactly fluent, but be able to basically understand what's going on with the students L1 over here, or you'll need someone to come in and do it for you. There may be co-teachers, etc., who can help you with this. You can add an image. The number of images are limited if you're not a paid teacher, and if you're going to use this heavily, it's really worthwhile to get the teacher, at least it was a few years ago, to get the teacher package, because it will save you a lot of time. You can upload your own audio and you can upload your own pictures. So let me go ahead and back out of this. I don't really want to save that. So this THK Math 2 account was an old account when I was subbing at a school as program manager. When we go through here, you'll see that they have the Thai and the L1 and L2. They have L1 and L2 that students can practice with. If they go into Learn, they'll be able to practice spelling. There will be listening, and then they will use this data during the Learn phase to help populate distractors for multiple choice on the test here, and which is great because they will see what the most common mistakes are when students are using Learn, and then they'll put those most common mistakes up on the test, and that's great to make the test a little bit more rigorous than if they just chose stuff other words randomly, other answers randomly from the set. I'm really a big fan of Quizlet. I've used it a lot for my classes, and I think if you're going to do just for your classes, Quizlet is probably the best choice for you. But if you're talking about putting together a whole school program, a whole year program, something like that. Even for your class, you want to have a you know recycling old vocabulary and such like that. This is not going to do that for you. You can have classes set up and Stingray. Excuse me. See what's in Stingray class. I haven't looked at this account in a long time. Nothing to see here. Okay, but you can set up classes and have students join classes, and then they can have access to all the sets. But the sets are not going to be combined and are not going to recycle. You're not going to see old vocabulary come back or old questions and answers come back. But the positives about Quizlet are, number one, it does that translation for you. Number two, the audio is automatic and free. Number three, it has picture search for you. So all those are great, especially if you're going to use it unit by unit and not recycle. Quizlet is really good. I encourage you to go ahead and find that knowledge level stuff and set up questions and answers for your kids and do separate vocabulary and translation. So the second website I'm going to talk about is Memrise, and I started using Memrise maybe 5 or 6 years ago to develop. We were trying to figure out how to develop a standard homework and using a vocabulary program that was cross-curricular for all of our students in middle school, grade 7, 8, and 9. This is not the same. This is not that account. But that allowed us the thing that's different from Memrise is Memrise has lessons. So I'm going to go through and show you a couple ways that happens. This tie frequency, that's my personal one. I got bored, didn't continue it. It's a high frequency list of Thai words. And they're broken down here into, I think I created this myself. I broke them down into 15 word sets and then do the translation for them. Other people, you can see other people have joined in here, and they're not in my classes or anything. They've just found this, and they've gone through, let's see, Lava, 406,000 points. That guy is this week. Wow. So you can see who's involved in your sets, etc. And sets are not closed. Sets that you make on Memrise are open and public, but you can create groups, and then those groups will be like classes in class in over there. You can track the progress of the groups. So you can see that was broken down by lessons. Basically, each lesson is 15 words. And what we did in my previous school was basically did a very similar thing, had 30 words per week. We pulled all the words around that week or pre-teaching a little bit from science, math, and English and social studies, and tried to cut that down to 30 words so we didn't overload the students. But then we ended up having a really comprehensive vocabulary program across several years. There's another way to do this, and this is a young girl that I've been one-to-oneing for a while now. So she's here I had her in reading A to Z. This was a level I vocabulary. This was when I taught her how to do this later. She made her own levels. But this is basically all self-constructed by the student. So she has a reading here, a reading that she may choose Discovering Dinosaurs. And she input this all. She created all her own levels. The words that she's not familiar with from that reader, she will put in. She'll find her best translations, and then a lot of times not here, but a lot of times I would go into this and edit the level and then record audio for each of these so she could go in and practice them for that day. Here, you can see this is assigned as level 5, mostly because she read these in alphabetical order. So students you can either teach students to self-create, or you can create. Hold on, I need to go back. But for bilingual programs, I really suggest that you have vocabulary divided by quarter, probably, if you're whatever your grading period is. So you've got one per grading period, and students are expected to complete the vocabulary list during that grading period. That's a regular homework, probably assigned in their ELA grade. They need to show proficiency in all that vocabulary, and that will really help that discussion that happens in class, really help comprehension of what's going on in class and help discussion in class. So I like Memrise for that. It allows you to upload audio and upload pictures if you want. It doesn't do the automatic search, it doesn't do the automatic audio the way Quizlet does. But one of the great things that I got for our international school in Bangkok was we were able to upload audio from a different accent. So we had a lot of teachers. We had teachers from London, we had teachers from Scotland, Australia, South Africa, America, etc. And we tried to source as many different accents, male and female, as possible. Hand out lists to teachers, have them record them, and then one of our admin would chop them up and upload, so that there are a lot of different voices and a lot of different accents for students to listen to while they're getting ready for the vocabulary. That also really helped them. So the last one here is Anki, and Anki is basically not designed for a school. So I'm not going to suggest that you do this. It is a great flashcard program, and I use it all the time to do language learning. There are a lot of free or paid sets available, and if you have something you need some kind of intervention for students, I think Anki could be a really good choice for that. You can find a good set to get students to quickly to A2 or B1 SEPHR level, but it's not really trackable. There's no way to put in courses. There's a website called Anki Web, but it's pretty limited. You need to register and some other stuff. But Anki is primarily either a computer program or a smartphone app where you load up sets and you can track, and it does recycling and such like that. Now, this is one thing that I didn't mention, I think, in Memrise, but I was intending to mention is when you have this system like this, these levels, we will get recycled language when kids go into practice. You'll get recycled language from previous lessons. Anki is possibly good as an intervention, but I wouldn't try to fit it into a classroom or school situation. So those are the three. I'll conclude again for Quizlet. If you're going to use it within your classroom, just unit by unit, I think Quizlet is probably the best choice, because it makes it easy to create new vocabulary lists, get some translations, get some quick pictures, have some quick audio. As a teacher, you don't have a lot of time. You're probably not using this again and again across the year, so you really need to create these things quickly, and Quizlet is good at creating them quickly. Memrise is much better at creating a whole school program or a whole course program, where you're thinking about developing something maybe over the summer for the entire year, and you want to be very comprehensive, very intentional about it. Memrise is better for that. Anki is better for just individual use. It's not good for classroom use, and it probably would work well as an intervention. Thanks for listening to me about this. This is my experience over maybe about 11 or 12 years now using vocabulary programs to help language learners participate more in class. Thank you.